guys, my name is Esme. I just wanted to welcome you all here and thank you so much for listening. This is our first live question and answer session, as well as our first podcast and YouTube video. So shortly, I'll be joined by Brandy and Janelle. Brandy is our business owner here at Health is Wealth Family Care and also practices as a nurse practitioner. Janelle is another one of our nurse practitioners here who's wonderful, and she also practices functional medicine. So Health is Wealth Family Care, we offer traditional and functional family care, and we also have laser, aesthetics, some fun things like that. So we're going to get into it all, but thank you so much for being here, and here we go. In case you're new here, we have Brandy on the left and Janelle on the right.
Hey guys, so point of this for today is we're just trying to get to know some of our patients, open ourselves up to off-the-cuff question and answers. There's some things we don't get to, maybe an appointment that you thought about, or maybe this will give you a new idea of something. So we're doing an 8-week accountability challenge. So it's not necessarily for weight loss. It might be for more movement. It might be better nutrition. It might be remembering your supplements, not sleeping well. So it could be any sort of whatever your goal is, maybe more muscle. So we're doing that. This was a chance for our participants to get on and talk to us and ask us questions off the cuff. Esme's been meeting with them weekly as well. Everybody seems to be doing awesome. Esme's killing it with this program. And then we also want to get on here so all of the new patients who are maybe on the fence about coming to see us can actually get to know us before their first appointment. So lots of different reasons for it. We plan to start doing these more frequently. So if you have ideas, send them over to us. We can do topics about thyroid, hormones, whatever you may have. I'll start with you, Janelle. How do you prioritize self-care while balancing a busy schedule?
Well, I think self-care looks different for everybody. My self-care for me personally is exercise. As a busy working mom, what I found over the time is that my exercise can't come later in the day. It has to be first thing in the morning. So my self-care comes from going to bed early and getting up early to get my exercise in. For others, that may be getting your nails done or reading your favorite book or whatnot. But I think we have to decide that we're worth it, that we have to put ourselves in the front burner.
Is, where do you start? I love Janelle will always say, she's like, don't do everything at once, right? Pick one thing. Because if you try too many things at one time, you're going to fail. We fail all the time as your provider as well. And our job is to look at each other and kind of say our goal out loud. What do I need to be doing? Do I need to be drinking less coffee? Do I need to prioritize sleep? Because I've been trying to stay up late getting too much done. We are moms. We are women. We are perimenopausal. We are all the things that we're going through with you, and we are not perfect. And that's why we love what we do. And we have that balance of meeting you where you're at. And when you come in, we're never going to come down on you. We're always going to encourage you, and we're just going to start fresh each visit if we need to. So the way I prioritize is same thing. I have to find and schedule in my workouts. If it's not scheduled in, it's not written down where I get to check it off the list, it's not going to happen. But I do also give myself grace. We had a late flight last night. I canceled my workout this morning. Cortisol-wise, I don't need to do that. It's not going to be helpful for me. I'm going to get in some movement later today. I probably do sauna too. So there's different things you do, and listening to your body is so important, but I will get at least 3 good workouts in this week already scheduled, plus my normal daily movement. Make it easy. If it's only 7 to 8 minutes you got in the morning, do it. If it's body weight squats while you're in your office every couple of hours, that can add up to the equivalent of a 30-minute walk. So make it easy. And if you need help with that, reach out to us because we're going to help make it easier for you. The food. You don't have to try to prep the entire week, right? Maybe you start on Sunday or Saturday, whichever day is easiest for you. Cut up your fresh fruits and veggies after you wash them so they're easy to grab. Make it easy for your kids to grab too. Then they won't go to the pantry as quickly. Keeping the junk out of the house, it helps, right? We know things are in moderation. We do know eating no gluten diet is better for most people because it's inflammatory. It's how it's processed. Now, our goal is that we always try to get foods back in. So one question that was asked, as a patient with Hashimoto's, I would love to hear from Janelle what her most effective tools, tips, or lifestyle diet changes she personally has that impacted her most with her Hashimoto's. Outside of going gluten-free. Our patients they know we're big fans of that.
I think one of the biggest things was, yes, diving into the gluten-free, very aware of not just gluten-free items, but also cross-contaminations. I think the other component, which it took me a little bit at the beginning of my journey, was I didn't dive into the whole gut health at first. I did not go in and do the GI map. I did not go in and do the food sensitivities outside of gluten to figure out what else was bothering me. It took me a while, but I did end up doing it. And that's where I seen that transformation come from removing some of those other high food sensitivities out of my diet that were needles in the haystack is what I tell my patients, because I would have never known what they were, because they were things like cranberry and arugula, sesame. I never would have guessed that that was an issue hindering me in my pathway to get to full remission with my Hashimoto's. It's still something I still have to revisit. Told several patients over Christmas, Poppy came out with a cranberry drink, which was phenomenal. Reminded me of my grandmother. I got doing it too much and joint pain came back. So I do a reset twice yearly, probably because one of the biggest things is I know my autoimmunity has to stay in remission. If I don't keep my gut in good working order, it will come back. LDN was another part of my journey in my Hashimoto's. I don't think I did it longer than 6 to 8 months, but it was definitely a tipping point for using that low dose naltrexone that helped me get my Hashimoto's in remission. So
balancing your hormones, balancing cortisol, so that's your stressors, right? If we're living a super stressed out life, but lots of us have, multiple kids, we are running like crazy, our minds can't turn off. If we're not getting that check, it's going to make it harder as well. Selenium, myoinositol, huge fans of those too, because it helps cool down that hot thyroid. Getting the good sleep is going to help. What else am I not thinking of? So we have a folder. Folder probably about that thick. And these are patients who we're super proud of it. One day when Janelle and I get more time, we're going to write a journal article so we can give it to endocrinology. We can get more traditionalists on board. Positive antibodies over the thousands, and they're completely normal now. And they stayed normal. They stayed in remission. Janelle's been there. So it's one of those things that's pretty cool to see. And, sometimes traditionalists will say, well, why are you even checking those? Just treat them. Put them on their Synthroid. Just treat them. Well, Synthroid can be good for some patients. It's not good for everyone. We may need to use some more of your, more bioidentical, kind of like your body makes more of your non-synthetics. Balancing out that free T3 does help patients, especially our women population that need it, right? So the goal is that we get everything in balance, and then including insulin and glucose, we're eating right, we're sleeping. Then hopefully after time, you don't need those medications. You don't have to be so strict on your diet, because we are not a place to say we want you to take out 10 foods, right? It's not sustainable. It's not good for you. Our goal is to get all those foods back in, unless you're true autoimmune or celiac, and you got to keep out gluten until you go in remission. We also want this just to be off the cuff, and we have some questions people have sent in too, so we'll go through a few more. I think Janelle shared her personal journey with functional medicine before beginning to practice.
Yeah.
Probably was like your Hashimoto's story.
For sure. As a patient, came in for sure into functional medicine easily and saw the benefit immensely to what I was doing and how I was changing things, but then also seeing a majority of my women's health patients when I was a women's health nurse practitioner coming to me with many of the same issues that I was having. No able to help them. Yeah. And so, having the good support of Brandy and then, taking in that knowledge from conventional medicine to functional medicine and bringing it in. That's what drew me in to doing this side of medicine.
It's pretty cool, because when you go through things, and I will always say, me and Janelle are like, oh my gosh, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to us, right? We've been through it. The weird stuff happens to us. So that's why we get it. The last month, I've had this weird ear allergic reaction from these earrings, but then it just set off this whole rash. So it's one of those very humbling things that I truly believe God gives us. So we know you have to put that work in. So again, I'm revisiting it right now. I'm on my Blue Shield, my Mega IgG, my Good Diet, and things are already improving. So it's one of those things you have to find the right time in your life. You get to try the traditional stuff if you need it, but when that fails, you go functional. And I think my entire life, I struggled with, weight gain, and I was just stuck. No matter what I did, I ate better than most people. I worked out, doing all the right things. But if you get to that insulin resistant, leptin resistance, it's very hard to turn that around. So supporting those 4 pillars, like we've talked about, is so helpful. And I will tell you, I revisit weekly, I revisit monthly. I love to live a normal life. I love to celebrate with my kids. I'm 100% gluten-free always, because I knew that was a trigger to me developing rashes and hives and things like that. But I can eat all the rest of the foods. So again, that's the goal. My husband has celiac disease. And at that point in life, I was like, oh my gosh, he was 35 years old. How much destruction has he done? And so that even got me more excited about functional medicine. Patients would come into the ER and people would say, oh gosh, are they just here to get medication? No, they had no one who would listen to them. So they're seeing their PCP. They're saying, hey, I don't know what's wrong, but the patient's scared. They're saying something is wrong. This is how I'm feeling. And they were never getting answers. And that just made me believe there's so much more than what I knew at the time. So in 2019, I finished my functional medicine, started in 2016, my certification. It was so wonderful. I've revisited so many times. I have 160 pages of notes just from these courses that I went through. But a lot of it's trial and error. And we're super honest with patients, and we'll say, hey, This works for maybe 90% of patients. And, some patients, we can figure it out quickly. Some patients, you're in for the long haul. We try to be honest about those expectations, but it's trial and error and things work. And if we don't know, we're going to tell you we don't know.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to all the providers in the office and staff and say, hey, let's put our heads together and figure this out.
Yeah.
Staying motivated.
Oh, how do
you stay motivated in your own health and wellness journey?
Oh, got yeah. Because I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what good is now. Definitely when I was 29 years old and I'm now 42 years old, I was not good. And yeah, to feel like I had one foot in the grave at that time is an understatement. But that's how I felt. So yeah, to getting to the side. So I'm more quick to know when I don't feel good, and quick to know something's off. And then I don't stay stuck there. Cause that's something I definitely pride myself in. It was like, oh, something was bad in that, or something was a cross contamination. Figure it out. I don't just let it keep snowballing effect out of like, oh, I just don't feel good. I'm like, no, that's old self. Old self would have said, stay there. That's just part of getting older, part of being a mom, part of being a woman, part of perimenopause, on and on and on. All the things that we get lied to and told to that is normal. Because my argument is, well, why does not everybody else look like that? Because that's not the case. So I feel good and I want to keep up with my kids.
That's my big why too, is staying healthy for my kids. I have a lot of family members with cancer in my family. Both my parents had cancer. We had a lot of environmental triggers. Genetic wise, I have no genetic markers for cancers, but 4 family members have had small cell lung cancer, including my mom. That's a really scary type of cancer. So that's one of my whys of, keeping myself in such good shape. I want to be there for my kiddos. And what Janelle was saying too is like you have a ditch, right? And some patients, they kind of live on that edge of the ditch and they keep on falling back in. And so they can't get forward movement with that. So our goal is to slowly get those patients further from going into the ditch, right? They're not getting sick as often. You're not feeling as bad as often. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. We check in on your MSQ scores. That's why we do medical symptom questionnaire. She'll be like, I don't know if I feel any different, but your scoring went from 125 down to 20. And then we start going back through things. Well, when's your last migraine? Oh my gosh, forgot about that. I forgot about that. It's like my favorite. Like, that's a crazy feeling with me. I'm like, so I'm feeling good. I think that's kind of fun to watch. It's fun on our side, those wins with the patients. Let's see, what else do we have? How do you recommend dealing with setbacks or challenges that arise during a wellness journey?
Well, one, I share my journey with my sister. My sister also has Hashimoto's. So I think it's good to not be alone in your journey, whether that be talking to us, messaging us, calling us, being like, I'm frustrated or whatnot. I'm always glad to hear patients reach out rather than stay stuck and be mad and be frustrated that X, Y, or Z is happening. Yeah, my journey for me has been my sister. It's usually, sadly, if it's happened to me, it's going to happen to her later or vice versa. It's just good to know that we both very much share a very same genetic line between the two of us, and into the journey too, because it is frustrating sometimes, but it also is nice that not only the setbacks, I'm her accountability partner weekly, and I love it. I've helped her in a 2-year journey of, again, just having that person to like listen to and cheer her on, but then also talk her off the cliff or the edge of like, don't be frustrated about that. That's okay. Next week happens. So yeah.
Very cool. My setbacks are just reminding patients to just keep on going. If you fall off the horse, get back on, right? You're just going to restart. And I do like the one thing at a time. You don't have to give up your, coffee and your evening drinks or, all of your carbs at once. Make it a slow progression. It'll feel better that way. And then also with our memberships, you get the health coach, you get the athletic trainer, reach out to them. They love it. I see them light up when they talk to you. Esme's been sharing all these amazing wins with us, and it is pretty cool to see that. Yeah. I would say just keep on trying. We're not perfect. And our goal is to make you not have to be perfect, right? Make it stressful for you. We want to make it easier for you.
I always talk to patients anyway about accountability outside this accountability group is because you have to have something that you're like, someone you're checking in with or that you're writing your stuff down. You don't know what you're eating or consuming unless you have some idea of it. Now, some people that may be a daily process that they have to do. For me, I'm a boring person. I tell people that all the time. I am fine having a boring diet. So is my family, thankfully. I will get more exciting on the weekends when maybe my husband chips in on a meal because his is a 12-step meal. It's 30 minutes or it's not happening, period. It's just not. But I'm very boring in that. But I don't need to track every day because that's what we do. It's the same kind of meal of like vegetables, healthy proteins, healthy fats, doing it day in, day out because I think that's kind of our accountability in that. It's like, we just do the same thing over and over again. Now, some of my patients are like, Janelle, I'm over this. I'm like, I get that on the downside, but also you've been feeling good. So why not keep that going? But maybe taking on like a 2 to 3 week rotation of your meals and your plans rather than just doing that same thing over and over again.
And I have a 2-week meal plan that I shared with Esme. It's kind of it's like a spreadsheet, and it has recipes, has things like that too. It's something I made years ago. So I'm happy to send it to anybody if you want it. Just as a message to Esme at healthaswealthfc.com. It's like my husband did and I did on a plane ride one time. And so we're like, all right, the kids, they have gotten out of hand. We got to get them back on track. And they are. They're very good about it too. Another thing is talk about continuous glucose monitor. What has kept your glucose the most stable? What you've learned?
Yeah, definitely how I eat my food has been one of the most eye-opening. Eating my proteins first, my fats, and then carbohydrates after that. But a serving, also not guessing, where we'd be like, oh, a quarter of a cup. Not so much. A quarter cup definitely made a difference in that. But yeah, I've been using that continuous glucose monitor, which I don't have one on today, but I have been using it since October now. It's just been eye-opening. It's real time of like what's happening to my blood sugars. Now, I mean, hopefully more insurances get on board with this idea of like, you don't have to be a diabetic to know what your blood sugars are in real time. And the ones we are definitely using are not ones that my type 1 diabetic nephew is using. These are very simple glucose monitors. These are not complex monitors, but it just gives you like real time information. But it's been eye opening just again, how that food is processing in my body, and drinks too, because definitely wine was one of them that I was more shocked about. But the more I've read about and learned about it, it's plays factor all over my hormones. And that's another huge my glucose levels were much higher the week prior to my cycle, and would have never known that. But it also makes sense of like how I need to be nutritionally feeding myself differently probably that week too. So
even with those estrogens too, you know, estrogen's going up. Estrogen go up because you're getting too much sugar and carbs. I mean, become estrogen dominant. That's the breast tenderness, things like that. One of the coolest things for me, and the reason we started doing the continuous glucose monitor, because we had lots of patients asking about it. Now, again, not for type 1 diabetes. This is just for people trying to monitor it or who have type 2 diabetes. And so I'll have patients come in and say, I am sweating at night. I've got these horrible hot flashes. I know it's my hormones.
Yeah.
We'll check their hormones and we're like, hey, they look pretty good. I'm laughing because right now on Insta Live, there's like fireworks coming up for some reason. So it's one of those things that I was like, okay, guys, I literally had my continuous glucose monitor on. One night I had a glass of red wine. I wake up in the middle of the night around 3:30, and I'm covered, drenched, like having to take clothes off, change my sheets. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening to me. I know like 30 seconds later, my continuous glucose monitor went off and my blood sugar is down to 50s. So you are going to sweat because your cortisol is going to shoot up to bring up your glucose. And that's why I was sweating, not necessarily my hormones. So I think a lot of times we just blame it on hormones. The next night, I did not have a glass of wine. I had a handful of nuts before bed. I slept great throughout the night. I did not wake up at that time and I did not sweat at all. And my blood sugar stayed stable all night. So it's just kind of a cool comparison. You use it as a tool, you don't stress about it too much, and you just try to take what you can get from it. One patient said, continuous glucose monitor has been very eye-opening for me too. Been doing it for a couple of months, hoping I can reverse insulin resistance. You are so dedicated. I am confident you're going to get there. It's been fun to watch. I have a hard time getting a protein in my meals.
So one of a couple things I do, chickpeas are my favorite. That's something I put in my soups, chilies, my taco soup, my vegetable soup. Legumes, that's another great one. I don't use anything gluten-free pasta that is not a chickpea or a red lentil. If it doesn't have protein in it, I'm not looking for it because first of all, I can't hardly feed my preteen and my teenager enough protein. Do a lot of bone broth. So my soups all have bone broth in it. My rice is made with bone broth. I'll season with bone broth and a lot of things that my quinoa, my rice. I mean, just even looking at what a breast of chicken, like how much protein is in it. It's a lot. You just have to like measure it out, look at it a couple of times. It's not something you have to do over and over again. Even tonight dinner, our favorite, which Costco needs to hit me up on how much I advertise them, but they're paleo sausage. So if it goes and I can't find it anymore, everyone here's to blame.
That's right.
It is delicious. My family loves it, but it's a paleo sausage. Each link had 14 grams of protein in it. 14 grams. But it's just, again, looking at what you're making for your meals to be like, okay, that's enough, or that's getting it up to par. So
what we did for our kids too is we made a list of protein containing foods that they like. And we did this years ago, and how many grams of protein. And we talked to each one of them about how many pounds they should be, or how many, thank you, protein, grams they should be getting with each pound they weigh. That's where I was trying to get to. And that was eye opening for my son, because I'm like, Coop, the carbs you're eating, it's doing nothing for you on your body. And he really got into it. It's been super helpful. And even if there's a day he's busy, can't get enough in, or he has 3 sports in a day, we'll do a protein shake. And we like the Vitagenics Whey protein shake in my house, where we do fine with whey typically. And it's 22 or 24 grams of protein in that. And then I also, for me, I put in my GlutatShield, I put in my Mega IgG. I even throw in a little extra collagen. I kind of rotate between all these different things. Yeah. And it just makes it easy and it helps. Supplement-wise, guys, I take mine with me, literally have them all throughout the day. I laughed when Janelle, she popped a few of hers and then she brushed her teeth almost at the same time. Like, there you go, Janelle. So this makes it easy for me. And then I will tell you, when I get to the point I am feeling really, really good, I almost just kind of do a mixture, and I do things every other day. And then I will just, so it's not, you're taking so many things in one day. And the goal is you don't have to be on a ton of supplements, right? But if there's times where we are eating as perfectly, or we're having a couple more glasses of wine, we didn't sleep as well, you may need more B complex and things like that. So it's kind of just that balance of what do we need? I might need digestive enzymes during a period of time, like right now. And so it's just the balance. Speaking of protein, any recommendations for plant-based protein powders and or bars? I can't tolerate whey very well. So I will tell you, this is something that we have to dive into, because I just saw something get released. I can't remember if it was the Wall Street Journal or where, but they were finding metals and different things in the protein powder mixes. I just saw either late last night or this morning.
I have. So because I haven't always tolerated whey, and I don't always tolerate whey very easily, Flav City is a clean brand, and it's nothing we benefit from whatsoever, but it is it's something that he's done his research, because yes, pea protein can be very heavy in metals. That's something we need to be aware about. So protein shakes need to be good.
I'm excited this year. I think we're going to see a lot of these kind of movements come.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exciting. I want to get these bad things out of our diets and make it easier for people in general. But our job also is to pay attention to those things that are coming out, investigate it. Is this real? Is it a real risk? Is it not? But making sure you're only getting clean brands. Luckily, your top companies, Metagenics, Ortho, Biotics, Designs, all those companies, they do very good third-party testing. And that's why we feel confident with them. That's why we try to recommend them. But there are places that, it means there's a couple of the protein powders you just kind of got to drink. I want to actually like what I'm drinking, right? If you are struggling with whey, I would give that one a try. So you said Flavor City?
Flav City.
Flav City. It's kind of, it's a ring.
Yeah, and us.
I think there might be one more question coming through, maybe.
And then collagen too. Don't forget about collagen, because most collagens will have protein in it as a non-whey based protein, and you can add it into. My sister does it every morning in her coffee. I do it mine in my workout drink in the morning. My son puts it in his smoothie every day. So
smoothies, greens, put your greens in there. That's going to help you. And your bowel movements will be so much better too, right? If you're getting in those fruits and veggies, the colorful diet, and it is easy to get it through the smoothie and make enough so you can just keep it for a couple days too. And your family will have it. So if you need a dessert, that can be a dessert, but that can also be your breakfast the next morning. Rotation of food is important. We shouldn't be eating just the same 3 things, even though we're eating a rotation in our diet each week. But we're happy to help you put that together too. All right. Thank you guys so much. It means so much for your support and for coming. Take care, everybody.